Hi everyone and welcome back. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you're joining us from. So as I mentioned in my opening remarks this morning, the sort of pervading theme and something we're focusing on at the Investable Showcase this year is that of convergence. Convergence both in terms of the subsectors within healthcare converging, and some discussion on that earlier today in our medical device and digital health convergence panel, but also in terms of business models and various other things that we're going to be exploring in the panel following our keynote presentation this afternoon. So please do stay tuned for that. But our keynote for this afternoon is focusing on investing in a multidisciplinary approach to healthcare. And honored to be joined by Chris Picariello, who's president of Johnson & Johnson Innovation, JJDC Inc., who's going to be talking to you today. We have the Q&A and chat function up as normal on the right hand side, so please do put your questions in there, which we'll be able to answer live at the end of the presentation. Yeah, we'll get to that in around 20-25 minutes time. But for now, I'll honored to hand you over to Chris. The stage is yours.
Great, thanks Josh, I appreciate it. And good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world. I'm happy to be here today to discuss investing in a multidiscipline approach to healthcare innovation. Just to introduce myself briefly, I've been with Johnson & Johnson for over 25 years, working in multiple regions across all of our sectors of businesses: consumer health, medical device, pharmaceutical, and biotech. And actually, I was attracted to Johnson & Johnson because of our credo, which clearly states that we are here to serve the mothers and fathers and healthcare providers that use our products, and serve our employees, the communities in which we work around the globe. And if we do all those wells, our shareholders will be taken care of. It's aligned with my purpose of wanting to make a difference in the world. I've been fortunate to leverage my finance and business expertise over my career in Johnson & Johnson, alongside amazing internal and external scientific, technical, and commercial partners to improve lives for consumers and patients. And I look forward today to sharing some of my experience and insights as we continue to collaborate together to make the difference in healthcare. As we start the discussion, we must acknowledge that innovation has already changed the trajectory of healthcare. In the past century, life expectancy has increased by approximately 60%. In large part, this is due to better understanding and management of disease. There are specific examples of how scientific innovation has delivered significant progress. For example, in HIV, once diagnosed with HIV, that was considered a death sentence. But scientific advances over the past 3 decades have enabled people with the virus to live a near normal lifespan, actually, and manage their disease with just 1 pill once per day. And now we're harnessing the promise of sequencing the human genome, of delivering targeted therapies and personalized solutions. Advancements in robotics and digital surgery continue to make surgical procedures less invasive, more precise, and data-driven, leading to actually better outcomes for patients. And another example of a huge advance in healthcare is long-acting treatments. They're enabling a shift in the paradigm of how chronic diseases are treated. For example, long-acting treatments in schizophrenia allow patients to manage their disease with just 1 injection per month, and sometimes even fewer. However, at the same time, tremendous challenges in healthcare remain and represent significant global burden. These include chronic diseases such as cancer, diabetes, Alzheimer's, heart disease, as well as infectious disease such as HIV and TB. In many parts of the world, believe it or not, safe surgery continues to be a huge unmet need as well. And of course, we're all experiencing, as we've all seen this year, pandemics such as the current COVID-19 virus have the potential to have a profound impact on our lives. And there's much to be done to be sure that the world's better prepared for future pandemics. The good news is that science and technology are exploding with possibilities to address these challenges. Learnings from the Human Genome Project and other basic discoveries have provided a plethora of actionable human biology. Technology advancements are enabling new platforms and modalities, from 3D printing to robotic surgery and beyond. Our computation abilities can now analyze huge data sets, enabling us to derive learnings from real-world evidence. We can now harness insights from machine learning and AI to guide decision-making at all levels, from clinical trials to optimizing patient treatment plans. This is driving a huge productivity gain in how we develop clinical programs in our late-stage program. Because of this scale of science and technology innovation, no one organization can develop the solutions on its own. I believe more than ever, entrepreneurs, venture investors, academia, startups across various sectors of healthcare have a huge opportunity to continue to work to harness the best ideas, wherever they exist in the world, to create the new solutions for the future. Now, as J&J is the largest healthcare company in the world, Johnson & Johnson continues to create value through innovation. Last year, J&J alone invested over $11 billion in R&D. We work to continue to create innovative solutions across the three sectors of consumer, medical device, and pharmaceuticals, and innovative solutions across those sectors. Consumer, medical device, and pharmaceuticals are focused on 26 platforms addressing major unmet needs. We're committed to ensuring that our innovations are accessible to everyone and everywhere, and have a long-standing commitment to global public health and to making a difference in the world. And because we know that a great idea can come from anywhere, we work to access and then fuel those innovative ideas wherever they are in the world. J&J has a long-standing commitment to external innovation, starting with JJDC. The longest-standing corporate VC, we continue to invest in innovative companies from company creation, seed investments through company exit and onboarding. Over 6 years ago, I had the pleasure to look at expanding our reach in external innovation by establishing innovation centers and JLab incubators, where our scientific and deal-making experts had a presence in hotspots of innovation around the globe. And we focused on advancing early stage ideas. We felt that there was a huge need for us to be in the ecosystem, partnering locally with the entrepreneurs and various partners in those ecosystems to advance early stage opportunities. We engage with innovators spanning, as I mentioned, across consumer health, medical devices, pharmaceuticals, and integrated solutions that have an impact across those sectors. Our ultimate aim, though, is to fuel the best idea, whether that's through an incubation opportunity with our JLabs. If a new company is starting up and they're strapped with capital, we can offer a capital efficient opportunity for them to step into one of our JLabs facilities and advance their science and their know-how or their commercial opportunity. We also partner with financing and venture capital through our JDC arm, as well as developing flexible deals and collaborations with all partners through our innovation centers. When we think about partnership between startups, investors, I believe collaboration approach is so important, and I believe it starts there. Some of our most successes I've seen within Johnson & Johnson start with a very simple collaboration, and it all starts with that collaboration by identifying the unmet healthcare need to bring value to society and to have fruitful collaborations. Making a positive difference for people must always be at the center of our work. We must start all our efforts by identifying unmet healthcare needs and then searching for the best ideas, technologies, and partnerships to address those needs. At Johnson & Johnson, we collaborate and co-create at early stages of innovation with multiple inventors, entrepreneurs, and startups. We bring together Johnson & Johnson technical and scientific knowledge alongside the expertise and capabilities of our partners and other partners around the globe to help guide the development process. And the good news is we then offer multiple tools at our disposal to help fuel the idea. So once you get that simple collaboration established, the next question becomes, how do you fuel that idea to help advance it in the most capital efficient way? And this can be in the form of, as I mentioned earlier, an incubation or accelerator model, or if a company doesn't exist today, creating a new company with partners, and then also identifying other capital efficient ways to de-risk the opportunity and advance the idea. When an opportunity is ready to be scaled, acquisition or licensing through the best partners are options to continue to advance this technology and ultimately deliver to consumers and patients around the globe. As we look into the future, we're envisioning a world where we can change the paradigm from treating patients once they're already ill to a focus of preventing and intercepting disease. I got to tell you, when we first took on this ambitious goal of envisioning a world without disease, We got a lot of laughs and smirks in the audience and with various partners because the difficult task ahead of us. But we really believe that this was a worthy cause to take on as the broadest healthcare company in the world. And ultimately, we also look at, if people do get sick, we want to bring forward solutions that eliminate disease and restore health. To make this kind of future a reality, it requires thinking outside of the box, creativity, partnership, and significant risk-taking. In the next slides, I'm going to provide a few examples of how we are identifying and investing in these types of approaches. So I'm going to start first off on our work on lung cancer. In the work on the lung cancer initiative, this is an example of how we're aiming to make the vision of intercepting, preventing, and curing a disease a reality. It is work we are doing alongside multiple partners because we couldn't do this alone, as well as across the sectors of Johnson & Johnson. Patients today have challenges in this space, from the lack of early diagnosis to limited non-invasive options, to the fact that early stage lung cancer is just difficult to treat. This leads to the fact that 70% of lung cancer patients are diagnosed late and have only an 18% 5-year survival rate. Well, we believe we can do much better than that. Our aspiration currently is to double the 5-year survival rate. We're approaching this challenge in multiple ways. One is the use of technology tools such as digital robotic surgery to better detect and locate lung lesions. We're also developing an all-in-one procedure to access and treat early stage lung cancer. Now, we got to continue to look at other areas as well. Additionally, we're exploring our Monarch platform for targeted delivery of drug pre-malignant to intercept the cancer. Again, so we're really aiming for really challenging opportunity here to address this unmet need. So let me talk specifically around how we're addressing some of these ambitious goals in lung cancer. To take on this huge challenge, it requires, as I mentioned, multiple collaborations across the patient journey. We didn't see the solution in just one company, and we have used a variety of investment tools and collaborations to look at equity investments, licensing, simple collaborations, leveraging multiple companies and capabilities to solve this major unmet healthcare need. We have collaborations across all three sectors, and I'm going to give you a few examples of each of them. In the consumer space, for example, we have an investment in a startup company called Carrot. This is a healthcare startup focusing on harnessing digital technology to help with behavior modification for smoking cessation. In the medical device space, we've anchored our strategy in equity investment originally in Auris digital robotic surgery, and later acquired after strong collaboration and advancements of the technology. We then sought additional collaboration and entrepreneurs to advance capabilities for the surgeon to better diagnose and treat the disease in vivo. For example, we're collaborating with a company called Mauna Kea Technology, which is pioneering medical advancement of digital in vivo endomicroscopy. We also collaborated with On Target Labs, where they're developing multiple programs leveraging fluorescent markers that bind to cancerous tissues to make the cancer more visible so it can be removed more completely. These markers actually illuminate the cancerous lesions, literally lighting the way for the resection of the malignant tissue. And we're not stopping there. We have ambitious goals to actually leverage these technologies to also develop a localization of a therapeutic in vivo. So we're partnering with the clinical stage biotech company Reimbursement that's dedicated to discovery and development of the first-in-class molecule inhibitors to block the fundamental ability of cancer cells to survive under stress. As I mentioned, solving a huge challenge requires a multidiscipline approach, leveraging innovations from across various sectors and throughout the patient journey. I believe as investors in healthcare, we need to continue to develop end-to-end strategies to solve the major healthcare needs of today and in the future. This will not come from one silver bullet solution, but more from harnessing expertise from multiple innovators and collaborators across the sectors of healthcare, including many of you on this call. As healthcare investors, we're seeing significant trend acceleration. I'm sure you're hearing that over this conference, that the significant trend acceleration toward connecting home care systems, shifting from sick care to self-care, personalized cares, new models, technology unlocking access to care, and non-traditional players and models entering healthcare. And we have all seen COVID-19 pandemic has only accelerated this trend in this space. Some things that we were thinking that were 3 to 5 years are happening now. We're seeking investment opportunities in various areas such as AI, digital, virtual care, and personalization that are aimed at solving problems in the most efficient, effective, and convenient way for consumers. Some examples, we've invested in a company called Picariello. This is a digital health platform where personalized treatment recommendation for people living with acute and chronic digestive conditions. Another example of personalization is Dermala. Dermala is trying to tackle acne leveraging microbiome science, but they're taking a personalized approach, leveraging data and analytics via an app to actually adjust the formulas to the individual's needs. Imagine that. And then we're also continuing to they have a technology to help with baby behavior modification to get to the best outcomes for individuals suffering from acne. 30 Mattis is another company that we've invested in, and it's a startup that offers online health portals, leveraging telemedicine for treatment of hair loss, migraines, and acid reflux. It offers a virtual care capability for individuals that they're seeking treatment, but are also seeking expertise, whether it's from a physician or the best treatment that they can, for example, for acid reflux. And lastly, company I wanted to highlight is Q Health, which is a connected home care system. This is a great example leading back to some of my earlier points where a simple collaboration is key in developing a collaboration for an unmet need. Q Health is a company that we actually developed a very basic partnership. They were focusing on sexual transmitted diseases and rapid testing for that. We had a substantial global health public need where we were looking to develop a rapid test for HIV. So we partnered with Q Health to develop a rapid test for HIV. And this is really important for us to do this for specifically under-resourced markets like Africa, so that we can get better care for treatment of HIV in those markets. After strong collaboration efforts, we helped syndicate early financing rounds to fuel this platform and advance additional collaborations in RSV and flu. And then as you fast forward into 2020, COVID-19 hit. And here's an example where a highly technical team with advanced technology after years of investment pivoted to develop a very convenient, accurate, rapid PCR test with results in just 20 minutes that are similar results of rigorous lab tests. This is a great example where you started with a simple collaboration on one destiny, and now as a company, Q Health, I'm happy to see that they are playing a major role in front lines of trying to battle the COVID-19 pandemic through the rapid tests that they recently received substantial funding from the U.S. government. As healthcare investors and entrepreneurs, we have multiple tools at our disposal to help fuel the idea. This can be in the form of incubation accelerations. When a company doesn't exist, we can create new companies. And we can develop other capital efficient ways to help de-risk this opportunity, advance innovation to help get it to consumers. At the end of the day, I believe that we're all in healthcare because we want to make a difference for people. Today's science, technology, and paradigm shift in self-care hold tremendous promise to change the trajectory of health for humanity. It will take all of us working together across consumer health, medical device, biotech, and integrated solutions to envision what's possible, and then make that vision a reality. So with that, I want to thank you for your time and attention today. And Josh, I'll be happy to take any questions.
Fantastic. Thanks, Chris. So yeah, we do have a question that's popped in. I would encourage you all listening live to please do ask your questions in the chatting questions function on the right-hand side of the presentation here. But kicking us off, a question from Michael Meller. He said, what's the process at J&J to define what's innovative to justify investment? Is there a set scale to that? Is there a process, or how do you define what innovative is at J&J?
Hey, Michael, thank you for your question. As I mentioned, Johnson & Johnson, we're focusing, as the broadest healthcare company in the world, we're focusing on many different areas. But we've identified 26 platforms that we see significant unmet needs. And what we try to look at, how innovative is this solution going to be 5 years, 10 years out? Is it going to be disruptive? Is it going to be innovative? Is it going to make a difference for patients? Because it's critical to think that way, because normally you have a development cycle, depending on where you are and what you're developing. In pharmaceutical, you almost got to be thinking 5 to 10 years out. In medical device, you're thinking more on a 3 to 5 year out. And in consumer, that's a little bit of faster, rapid cycle of innovation. So when we think about innovations and thresholds, we're looking at, is this going to really make a substantial difference in the care continuum for that patient? Is this going to help a consumer to get better access to care? Is this going to empower them to actually be able to do self-care and actually have a better treatment paradigm for themselves and their family? So, as we think about these items around, we really think about what's going to be disruptive, and we challenge that based off of various expertise that we have. We're fortunate enough to have some really strong expertise that all the work that we're doing, whether it's consumer, medical device, or pharmaceutical biotech, it's grounded in really deep scientific expertise.
Fantastic, thanks for that. And I guess you sort of put up some slides there and talked around the lung cancer initiative and all the sort of various sort of external innovation that you sort of brought in fighting that particular challenge. But have you got any other sort of good examples of some of the more successful, or the most successful JJDC partnerships over the last few years, and I guess how they created value for J&J, but also for the portfolio company, and ultimately for customers and patients, as you say, which is what this is all about.
Yeah, thanks, Josh. First and foremost, in JJDC, we really are focusing, we're strategic investors. So we're really looking for investments that we can bring into the pipeline, that we can add our expertise and the fuel that we can bring to get it to patients and consumers around the globe. So we start there, from that lens. And from a success perspective, we ultimately look at how we can bring those opportunities into our pipeline and use our breadth and scale to get it to the most patients and consumers around the globe. So as you mentioned, we've had some in my presentation, I talked about the lung cancer initiative, and I'm really excited about, because this is something we only started a few years ago, and we've made substantial traction with the Monarch platform that we started with an equity investment in Auris. As that opportunity developed, we then were able to acquire that into our business. And that's the biggest success metric we look at, is an earlier collaboration or a partnership of an equity investment, and then an onboarding of that capability. And then we did other investments around that solution, like Mauna Kea and On Target Labs, that are still in development, but we have really exciting, we have exciting hopes for the results of that platform coming together with the multiple partners. In addition, though, to that, I would say on the medical device side, we had a lot of success with partnering. We partnered earlier with an equity investment in a company called Orthotaxy, and we then we acquired that business into the company, and that's now our Velis platform. And we now built in with another company called Zebra Medical, where we're actually helping improve kind of the intraoperative approach to look at how they can bring 3D imaging and visualization to X-ray technology to help the planning of the surgeon to have better outcomes in those robotic surgeries. So that's just another example on the medical device side. On the pharmaceutical side, we've had really substantial successes. Some of our, for example, when we weren't in HIV, and this is going back some time, investing in a company called Tubatec Verco launched us into the HIV category, and now it's one of our most strongest businesses in our pharmaceutical business. But most recently, we've been doing a number of really strategic collaborations with very early biotechs that we, again, with the life cycle, we have good hopes for the future. So these are just some of the successes I can talk to. And on the consumer health side, We have a number of company invested, as I mentioned, on CaraCare. We've had investments in 30 Madison, Dermala, which is a new personalized treatment for acne. So again, a number of these have early stage, opportunities for us, and we're trying to envision around how we can partner with each one of these companies to bring them to a larger scale around the globe.
Fantastic. We have a question through from actually the moderator for the panel that's preceding this on this topic, Melanie Senior. And Melanie's asked, are health systems ready to accommodate and reimburse these new paradigms, prevention, interception of disease, as well as treatment?
That's a great question. And that's when we started this about 5 years ago, these are some of the challenges that we were leaning in to face. And I would say the answer was no, when we started this effort. But as we continue to see and provide the right data and outcomes related to the work that we're doing, we do believe that there is a path for healthcare reimbursement. But it's not an easy one, to be fair. It's one of the things, though, that we believe that we have a responsibility to influence and make sure that we can get these tremendous disruption, innovative opportunities to patients at a reasonable price. And we do have hopes that we can transform the reimbursement space in a number of these areas. I will say that COVID-19 in particular has advanced this category. When you think about telemedicine and reimbursement in telemedicine, we've already seen some really good advancements related to this space, but we still got more work to do. So it's a great question, but one that we are committed to solve because we think it's so important. Because no one wakes up today and says, I want to get sick today. Wait to get sick and then have a treatment. Our goal is to actually intercept, prevent, get in early so that people can live healthier lives. And our hope is that instead of physicians being rewarded for treating sick people, we can transfer that paradigm to actually have physicians, be rewarded for actually having a healthy patient base, more healthy years of life. That's our goal that we're trying to achieve.
Yeah, certainly, and I'm sure we'll be following off with more discussions on that in the panel coming up. I just had another question coming from Mark Pohl. How does one efficiently prove prevention? That kind of clinical trial providing a negative would seem to require a massive N. I'm not quite sure what that means there, but yeah, how do you sort of prove that prevention piece, I suppose?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very important question because essentially, right, you're arguing. Sometimes you got to, number one, you're treating individuals that I would say, quote unquote, are healthy. Right now we're all incubating some disease in ourselves, and what we envision is developing ways around how we could develop certain what we call sensors in the body that could have really alert us to that this disease is incubating, and we could change the curve of that disease, slow it down, and ultimately eliminate it. So again, this is one of the additional challenges in really interception and prevention, because as you first started, you think you have to do substantial studies, long time, cohorts, et cetera, that take a lot of investment and time to prove out. But again, we're seeing some advancements in technology around especially around biomarkers, and how we can actually get better diagnosis of potential disease modification, and then actually prove disease modification through various studies. And we're hopeful that we can continue to influence the regulatory bodies around the globe to see this as a true impact and one worth pursuing and with us. So it is a challenge, but one that we are pursuing with a lot of aggressiveness and partnership with the regulatory bodies around the globe.
Fantastic. And we are drawing to a close here. We do have the panel coming up, which we'll need to jump over to very soon. I will say, of course, J&J Innovation are one of the key partners for the event this year. I would encourage you to continue to ask questions in the Q&A function, visit their virtual booth, and indeed interact with all the participants who are on the platform, and speak to them around this topic. But I guess one question to sort of close us off, Chris. And you mentioned obviously the effect of the COVID-19 pandemic, and we've had a lot of discussions on the effect of what it will be for the VC landscape. But how do you see it affecting the long term of the venture capital landscape? And I guess what specifically is JJDC's strategy in sort of as we're working through the pandemic situation?
Well, as I mentioned earlier in the earlier parts of my presentation, we see that there's a huge burden that's out there, and our job is to try to, be prepared for future ones. So one thing that has woke us up to is around, even that we had a very excellent vaccine platform that we invested again through a collaboration partnership with Crucell, and now we're on the front lines to hopefully delivering a vaccine to help address this pandemic. But as an investor, we've seen substantial capital move into the biotech sector, and we want to make sure that we continue to, again, leverage the partnerships and capabilities to actually continue the trajectory of changing, really changing the healthcare paradigm. And so we are, as we started getting into the COVID-19, we had some, we were like, how's this going to impact the markets? How's it going to impact our companies? And we see, as entrepreneurs do, we have some major, amazing partners that we have in a number of companies that we invest. They pivoted, they figured out different ways to, to manage through this pandemic. And it's been, I've seen just an amazing way of how to think differently and work together. So from an investment perspective, we haven't changed our strategy. We're long-term investors, and we said we would stand by our companies through this pandemic, and we will continue to do. But a lot of them have flourished because we're actually, we have a number of investments in self-care, and this pandemic has pushed that paradigm more towards self-care. And on the biotech side, the markets haven't been any more positive. So we're continuing to lean in on our investment strategy in this space, and we're hopeful, though, that we can get in front of future pandemics by doing so. So that's what we're doing as far as our investment strategy. It definitely had a cause for pause when it started hitting. And, this pandemic has. Yeah. So with that, Josh, I do want to thank you and the audience. Again, it's great to partner with us in the healthcare space, and I look forward to making a difference with all of you in the healthcare needs for now and in the future. So thank you for your time, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Chris. And thank you to J&J Innovation for being our key partner for the Investable Showcase this year. We will be back in just under 15 minutes time now for the panel, which is focusing on convergence again, and with some great case studies and examples and a wider discussion around the topic from a number of different players. So see you all shortly in just under 15 minutes.
Thanks, Josh.